Today we built this automation that with one click auto schedules all my social media posts. All I have to do is to change the status here from created to approved. It will pull the text from my Airtable. It will match it with an image from Google Drive, and it will take it and push it up to Metricool and then update the record in Airtable to show us that it was scheduled. In Metricool, our drafts will show up like this. An Instagram post, it automatically pulled the image, and look how cool the post looks. All right, if you want to know how this works, bear with me. Let's go step by step and set this all up. Welcome back to Vibe with AI. I'm Nino, and I'm learning automations in public with n8n. By the end of the video, you will have a pipeline from content draft to ready to schedule content. Let's go out and build it. I'm very excited to share my automation today with you guys because it takes the whole automation process of my content to a whole new level. If you saw last episode, you saw how we took one transcript and it populated my entire Airtable with 20 different content pieces. In a sense, the text for everything I need, like a LinkedIn post, Instagram captions, newsletter, YouTube description, and so on. I'm going to put the link up here. If you haven't seen it, definitely watch it. It's going to be up here. Today's automation is going to take that text, pair it up with a media file, and auto schedule it on Metricool. We almost have our entire social media post and content on autopilot. However, there's always a human in the loop. I'm going to take you through every single step how I set this up. This may inspire you. Maybe you want to use a similar platform like Metricool, which is my scheduling platform. Anyways, let's dive right in. Here we are in my Airtable. You see here is my content output, which is where I have all the different texts that I get through my other automation, like a YouTube description, pinned comment, shorts ideas, LinkedIn post, newsletter section, X post, Instagram captions, and so on. So what I found out after last episode, which I think is really exciting, is we can create here in Airtable a gallery view. This makes this look all so much better. So now if I click on one content output for a certain video, it will look like this. So here we have the title, Never Lose an Idea Again, Telegram to Airtable Automation, a former video of mine. So here we get some suggestions for the title, we get a YouTube description, we get a pinned comment, we get some thumbnail ideas. Today, where it gets interesting, we're going to focus on the platform LinkedIn, which we have a LinkedIn post here. We're going to focus on an X post that we can save. And we're going to focus on Instagram captions for a post or an Instagram post, as well as a carousel post. How I set this up now, that behind the post that I want to auto schedule for now, like a LinkedIn post, I put a checkbox that is called Send LinkedIn. Now on the grid view, you will see it here. We will have a LinkedIn post. Here's the send row. We have a send LinkedIn. Then after the newsletter, we have a send newsletter, we have a send X post, we have a send Instagram post, and so on. So in the gallery view, that looks very nice because now we can click on that, we can scroll down, and we can review the post. We can make any changes here. We can edit, we can write, we can delete anything that we want. Of course, it's a normal text field. And once we like what we have from the inspiration from the AI created content, if we approve it 100%, that's fine. If you want to edit it, you can edit it. You just gonna click Send LinkedIn. What it does when I click this, it pushes this one to a new table. Every single item is a post for itself. We have the newsletter, or we can also send the X post, right? When we click here, there is a little automation that I wrote in Airtable, which is also pretty cool. We set this automation up that when a record is updated, the send LinkedIn record that we chose from the content output table that I just showed you. And what it does here, we can have a look if the condition is if sent in linked is checked. So add a condition, we can see here, we added that. So if it's checked, it will create a record in the approved post table that you can set up here as well. You can fill in the fields, you can connect the table here. Anyhow, it's not a focus about the Airtable automations. I just wanted to show you also here the possibilities that you can do. So let's go back to the data. So we clicked a few check marks here, and now we will go to the approved post, and you can see that the newsletter or LinkedIn or X posts are created here as separate posts, each post in a row. So we have the text obviously here that we previously edited or approved is here. We can do additional changes here. If we wanted to, we can prepare images, we can do whatever we want. When we feel that it's ready to be posted, all I have to do is to change the status here from created to approved. Now in n8n, we're gonna start with our first node, that is our trigger. And we're gonna look for a scheduled trigger, and we want it in minutes and every 5 minutes. And that's it. What this node will do is it's gonna trigger our next node every 5 minutes. And what we need here is an Airtable node that says search records. Search records right here. We're gonna click that. Perfect. We have connected our Airtable account already to n8n. If you haven't done that, that's something you need to do. We're gonna choose our base that I called content machine. There you go. We choose our list. Remember, it's the approved hosts. The formula that we need to write is that we want our field status to be approved. So that's a filter. Every 5 minutes, this module will search our table, and only when a status is approved, it will let through the data of the specific post. We're gonna go back to our Airtable. We're gonna approve here. So we'll see approved. We're gonna go back to n8n and we can execute step. It will automatically trigger the previous node, and look at that. We have here our LinkedIn post, the title, and the text. It pulled it in straight from our approved post. Here we have the platform, here we have the text, and all of that. Now we got it inside n8n. Fantastic. Let's go back. The next node is a router node. We're going to use the switch because only the switch node lets you actually set up multiple routes. The if node only allows you to have 2 nodes, I believe, and the switch node allows you to have multiple routes. So we're going to choose the switch node. And now we're going to filter out or send our posts on different routes. So as I said, we have the LinkedIn post, but we also have an X post. We will have a Instagram post and a carousel post on each of those ways. Although they're quite similar, they're slightly different. On LinkedIn, for example, we can do only text. We can also attach an image, but we don't really attach videos. And also, for example, Instagram doesn't allow only text posts. So we need to slightly adjust each route. That's why we will need to open those here. All right. What we want to filter out is always the platform, right? So the first filter will be the platform, and the value is equal to, and we will hard code LinkedIn. There you go. So now here the platform is LinkedIn. So this particular post will go on the first route. We add routing rules, again, the platform, and we're going to make it filter for newsletter. And then we're going to add another route, and we're going to repeat that a couple of times. So this time we want it to filter out for X post. We're going to do it one more time. Now for the Instagram, we have to check that it matches exactly what we have here in our platform toggle. So as you can see, I have Instagram post reel. So that's also how I would need to write it. So let's do that here. Is equal to Instagram post slash reel Instagram carousel. There you go. That's all set up. Very nice. Let's execute the step. and we have the data from the LinkedIn here. When we go back to the canvas, what you can see now, we have 5 routes coming out, and the first route has one item, which is our LinkedIn route. All right, nice. We set up our trigger, we pulled the info into Airtable, and now we will build out the first route, which will be our LinkedIn route. Before we build out the LinkedIn route, I show you quickly my Google Drive folder here. I have a content folder here that holds my transcripts, but also I created a folder that is called LinkedIn post, newsletter, X post, Instagram posts, and carousel. In these folders, I will upload my media, my images and my videos that I want to connect to a certain post. So the important thing is here that this title here matches the title that we have in the Airtable. So each post has a title, and I can obviously configure this title how I want to before I put the status of approved, but this title needs to match with the media. That's very important for my automation, so that I knows which image to match with which post. All right, so this one is called I built a content machine that creates 20 posts in 10 seconds. That's just my working title that I currently have here. So my media here has the same title. All right, back to n8n. The first node that we'll add is a Google Drive module that says search files and folders. We want this automation or this node to search our LinkedIn folder if there is a media inside. How we do that is that we let this node search for the title that we have right over here. We can drag and drop the title in here. We let it search for the title which matches the video, and then we only needed to find one image for LinkedIn, so only one time, and we're going to filter it that it searches only in one particular folder, which is our LinkedIn folder. LinkedIn, there you go, LinkedIn posts. We're going to select that, so it will look for the title of our video in our LinkedIn and see if it has a matching file. Also important is on the settings, we will click that it should always output data, because on LinkedIn we will have 2 routes. If there is an image, it should pull the image and match it with the text, but if there is no image, it should go ahead also and just post the text, as on LinkedIn, we don't always need an image. So we always need a data output, otherwise the second route without an image will not be triggered. There you go. That's all. Then this node is set up perfectly. We're going to execute step, and look, it found our image, the image that we have previously uploaded, just to show how this automation works. The next node that we're going to set up is a if node. We quickly choose the if node, and the smoothest way that I found to do that is to post this, which basically checks the length of the object. You can just copy that. I tried a few other things. It didn't work so well. With ChatGPT, I came up with this expression, which works really great. And it's basically measuring the length of our file. So if that number, we need to go to number. If that number is greater than 0, that's what we want to do. So if there's any file there, then it should continue on this path. We're gonna execute the step, and of course I found a file. So now if we look here, it sent the data in the true branch. We're gonna click on the plus icon here. We choose a new module, which is gonna be again a Google Drive module, and what we want is download a file. So now we want to download this file, and we're going to click here by ID, and we're just going to take the ID that we got through the if node and we drop it here, and the expression looks like this. It's basically the same ID that our search and files folder module identified or pulled down from our Google Drive folder, and now we're just matching that here. So we want to download that file, and we're going to execute the step, and then we should come up with a data binary object that we can download. It has the right file name. That worked. We can continue on. Before the next step, I need to introduce you to another platform that is called bunny.net. The thing is, the platform that I choose for my scheduling, Metricool, requires a public link to download the image or to pull the image into the draft. I identified bunny.net, a platform that looks like that. And it's basically a platform that offers storage buckets. So you can store your videos or your images, and it provides a pull zone with a public URL. It's very cheap. I think I'm just paying like a few cents per month at the moment. It's really not that complicated, and it's a cool platform to use for my particular automation using Metricool for my scheduling platform. You might be using a different one. You might not need to use that, but for me, it was necessary. We have logged in, and this is how the platform looks. And you will have here in the side, you will have storage, and you can just click it and you can add a new storage zone. So I created a storage zone for images and one for content videos. Very simple, because that's what I will be using. If you click on the images, you will see always the same picture uploading. That is what we use to try out our automation. So here we go. That's our image. It has uploaded, it's storing, and what it provides you when you click on that, it's a URL, and this URL can be used for Metricool to pull the video from there directly. One more important thing to notice, with a storage, you need to connect a pull zone. So you just click here on connect the pull zone, and then here we already have one connected pull zone. It gives you basically a URL that can be used then to pull down the image. That's pretty much all you need to know about bunny.net. If you want to know more, leave me a comment and I'm happy to give you some tips and tricks with that. Now back to n8n, we gonna add now an HTTP module. That HTTP request will take this file and put it or upload it into our storage on bunny.net. So what we need to put here is the URL from the storage bunny CDN content image, right? And we're just gonna add basically the file here that we have downloaded before. One vital thing, we obviously need to click the send headers, and then here we will need to put our API key. We're gonna call this one the access key. And when we go back here to the bunny.net, if we go to storage, click on our bucket here, you will have the FTP API access, and here you will have your password, and that's here what you need to copy, and that's what you need to feed in here as the value. I'm going to plug that out as my private API key, but you get the idea. So now we're actually connected to our storage, and now if we execute the step, look at that, you will see that message file uploaded, which means it worked. Fantastic. The next thing what we'll do is we will add a code node, and again, AI, Claude, or ChatGPT can write that code for you perfectly. The primary code node is in JavaScript. They have a beta version in Python as well, but we're using the JavaScript one. And we're going to copy paste the code that I have previously prepared. Basically what it is doing is it's taking our file name from the downloaded file, and it's adding the URL system or the URL that we know already from bunny.net, from our bucket, and it's creating the public URL. So that's important because this public URL we can then share with Metricool to add the image. We are cleaning everything up and we are creating the public URL with this step. So we're going to execute it, and look here, that's the important file. We have here the link that we needed, which is the link to our storage bucket, and again, the title name, and that's it. We're going to click here and we're going to add quickly a merge module, because this will be actually the point where we merge this other route in again. We're going to add another code node here. Again, JavaScript. So I prepared that as well with Claude code, to be honest. What this code node does, it just puts all the data together to feed it into the HTTP request that we're going to do afterwards, which is basically the upload node that will upload the draft to Metricool. It takes everything, it cleans it, it puts it all together. So then after this, we have basically one item that we can feed to Metricool, and it puts it basically all together. since the text of the post we have here in search records, then the image we have here in download file, then the public URL we just did in the last code node. So they're all at different stages of our automation, and this code node will put it all together. Get the bunny CDN URL, so we have the public URL. Get the post content from Airtable here, get the text basically. Then we will set the publication date 2 weeks from now. I want the draft always to be in 2 weeks into the future. So then I can see all the drafts and I can actually drag it in the calendar for Metricool to the day that I actually want to post it. Shouldn't be in the same week, because then maybe I'll post one by accident or it gets too messy. So I believe 2 weeks in the future is a good time. It will configure the date in a way that Metricool wants it. Again, there's documentation out there for the Metricool API, how they need it. In the next step, we will integrate that API. I will show you more to that. But anyways, here is the date, and it's basically building the request for the specific LinkedIn post with my user ID that is blurred out here. And that's about it. So it basically just pulls every bit of information that we need and builds the request for the next module. Very nice. Execute step, and look at the nice output here. We have everything, publication date, we have the time zone. I live in Portugal. We have the text, we have the provider, which should be a LinkedIn post, and we have my ID, and we have the URL from the media. So very, very nice. And this is also a big reason, I mentioned this in the other video, why I moved to n8n. This code node is absolutely amazing, because you can configure it, and with AI, you can configure it the way you want it to have kind of the output that you need. Now back at the canvas, we're going to add another HTTP module, the vital step, and this time we use the function post. So we're going to post a URL that looks like this. It's just a link to the app Metricool API v2 scheduler posts. After that, it's just my user ID and my block LD. Those are two identifiers that Metricool uses that you need to put in this URL. If you look here at the Metricool page, you will see that this is the URL, at least to parts that we use here. And it also shows your block LD identifier and your user ID identifier. You can copy it from here, and then you need to construct the URL accordingly. This is also all in the API documentation from Metricool. Again, if you have any questions, leave a comment. I'm happy to answer. If you need the specific code files of my code nodes, you also just send me a direct message. I'm happy to share those with you. Let's continue here. We need authentication none. Again, we're going to send headers. The first header that we're going to use is x minus MC minus authentication. This is how it needs to be for the API of Metricool. And here you post your API key. So if you go back here, you go to your settings, account settings here, you will get to this page, and there you have the API tab, and then you have your API token. I have to say that you only get an API token with the advanced subscription, which is about 40 to 50 euros a month. So it is not super cheap, but for me, who is starting my social media journey really, and I want to post on multiple platforms, and for my automations, it's absolute killer. So I would advise it, but sure, it comes at a cost. I copied the key in here, I blurred it out because it is private. We're going to set another parameter that is content minus type, and it's going to be application JSON. And then we're gonna click send body. We're gonna choose content type JSON. We're gonna use JSON, and then all we have to put in here is basically the JSON from the request body that we got out from the last code node. So all the text, the date, all the data basically Metricool needs to create that post is all in here, and we only need to drag and drop this in here basically. We're gonna execute the step, and look at that, the post has been created. We go back in Metricool, we can check. We go to planning and look 2 weeks ahead. From now is Friday the 26th, and if we click on it, a LinkedIn post draft has been created. The text from my Airtable has been pulled in. The image has been attached, and this is the preview how my LinkedIn post would look. Very nice. We have the test image. We have our text. If I click to see more, that will be all our text. And amazing. Now I can save it as a draft. I can also schedule it. I can publish now. I can choose a date, all of that in Metricool very comfortably. If we look here back in the calendar planning view, I can now take this post and I can schedule it at any time that I want. I can just drag and drop it to any day and any time that I think is fit for my post. This is such a time saver. Basically from here, I can manage, as you can see, those are all practice posts that I did, but I can basically manage all my social media posting from right that spot. And I have all the drafts with everything ready configured. There is one more step. We actually want to update now our Airtable and let us know that this particular post has been scheduled. So what we do again first is we're going to add a code node. This code node takes the data from the HTTP request, basically from the post, and adds a little bit of intelligence to it. Most importantly, it will let us know if the image PNG file was a picture, or if it was an MP4 file was an image, or if it was just text. So I can use that to update my Airtable accordingly, and that's the main function. It will also prepare nicely the title and the ID from the post and all of that. Just basically prepares the fields that I want to add to my Airtable post table. In this code node, if you look, it's basically getting the Metricool response, basically the ID, check what was actually posted. It's getting the media type and the file name, and it's basically just preparing my update the record. Let's execute that step. There you go. What it pulled out of all of that was the record ID that I need, the status scheduled, the Metricool draft ID, and the media type, picture, and an error log in case something didn't work. So it basically just cleaned that data again for my update the record module. Fantastic. That's the last step in this chain. We're going to look for an Airtable module. It's update the record. We're going to connect again our base, which is content machine. Then we're going to connect our table, which is approved posts. And then we're going to use the ID that the code node gave us here to match our column with the ID. We have the media file name here, which we're going to drop in here. We have the media type, which we're going to use that one here for the media type. The Metricool draft ID, we get the Metricool draft ID. Error log, we get the error log. And we still need to find the status here. The status will be scheduled. We can execute that step. And that worked. And now if we go back to our Airtable, you will see that our LinkedIn post now is scheduled. It has a media file name. It has a media type. It has an ID of the draft and no error log because there was no error. Like this, we keep an overview of which post is actually already scheduled. One quick final step that we need to do for this route, we're gonna build out the false route that if no file was found, we're gonna add a code node that will pull the text from the record of the Airtable and then just moves on with the text. So the text gets posted. We're gonna attach this here in the merge code, again prepared with Cloud Code. It basically says if no media file was found, path through the Airtable data. Mark this as a text only post, and here's basically the JSON data. It's gonna take the text from the search records module and pass it through. All right, we just gonna go back, and we already connected here, and we're gonna save our workflow. Now, if we wanna test the entire workflow that goes down the false branch, here in my content output table, I have a LinkedIn post that doesn't have a matching file in the drive folder. So we can just click here on approved, and then we go here. We're going to execute the workflow. It's going to pull that file. It's going to send it down this path, and then it will also post it as a draft, but only a text file. We can look here again in the calendar. It should come here on, we need to click refresh, and it should come here on Friday the 26th, which is in 2 weeks from now. And look at that, Friday 26th, again, for 2 weeks from now, we have a draft scheduled that only has text and no media file, and that is a LinkedIn post. Very, very nice. And we can also check here again in our Airtable module. This one has been marked as scheduled, and the media type was only text. This was the major part of our automations. Now for all the other routes, we can reuse a lot. We just need to make minor tweaks. Let's dive in and build out the Xpost route next. Fantastic. The LinkedIn route is completely ready. So back in n8n, you can just highlight all these nodes, and then you right click and you click duplicate. There you go. Now we have them here, and we're gonna connect it to our second route here, which is, if we check in here, this was newsletter. We're gonna skip that for now, but the third one is Xpost, right? And that's what we want to build out. So we connected it here, and now we just have to make a few minor tweaks. The first tweak is we click here on the search folders, and we need to choose here our media folder that we call Xpost. We will find it here. I showed you earlier in my Google Drive folder. Quick reminder, here I have all my Google Drive folders set up, and now media for an Xpost, we will just load in that one. Surely we will automate that later on, but for now we manually drop it in here. Let's go back to our n8n node. So that's fine. The next thing that we need to change is we're gonna deconnect here, and we're gonna drag this a little bit to the right, create a bit of space here, and we're gonna add one more code node here. Again, Cloud prepared me the code, is basically checking the file name and identifying whether it's a video or it is an image. And then it will upload to the specific bucket, either videos or images that I set up on bunny.net. All right, so we added in this code node just to have that flexibility. I think the rest stays all the same. Honestly, let's give it a go and see what happens. We're gonna approve Xpost that we created here, and we're gonna click on approved. When we go to my Google Drive on the Xpost, I've also uploaded already here a image with the right title, so it should pull that. Let's see what happens. We execute, it sends it down this route, it's downloading the file, and look, it went through all the way. Now when we go back to the calendar, we will see the draft here, and it worked. The only problem is it marked it as a LinkedIn post, and I know what we forgot. We need to go back here. There's actually one more thing that we need to adjust, and that is the code node that prepares all the data for the upload HTTP request. And only here, the tag, we need to change it. Here it has, in the network, it has LinkedIn, and of course we need to change it to Twitter. Actually, that's what the API said. We changed that part here to Twitter, and then we can execute that step again. Very nice. Then we just play from here. We let that play. Now, if we are back at the calendar, look at that. We have the X draft. So now it's tagged correctly. So we can just drop this here, and here's our X draft. Look, that's how it would look on X. The first automation always gives me 3 post suggestions. So now it just has all the 3. What we would actually have to do here, that should have happened priorly in Airtable before I approve it, obviously, but we could just delete the first text. So now that is one Xpost. Look at that with the image that is ready to be posted on X. And just quickly, if we check out our Xpost here, it is also scheduled we have the media file, and we have our row updated to scheduled. Very nice. So let's build out the next row, which is going to be an Instagram post. That looks amazing. So the first two routes are ready. Now we're going to dive into the Instagram route. We're again going to do the same as before. We're going to highlight them all. We're going to duplicate the nodes. Ooh, so far away. And we're going to connect route number 3, which is our Instagram route. Again, only a few things to adjust. Number 1, we click on the search and drive folder. And again, we're going to just search for Instagram. And it's going to give us the Instagram post folder. We're going to save that. Then also here, it's good. We have the videos or images, of course. This all stays the same. In this code node that we had forgotten the last time, we gonna put Instagram tag. That should be good. Yeah, just one difference. We're gonna adjust this route here. We can delete this code node because on Instagram, it is not allowed to post only text. So if it doesn't have a file, it shouldn't continue to be posted. We need a media file, either a video or an image. So we can also delete this merge node here, and we can just have this directly connected. There you go. And here we're gonna actually do one thing. We're gonna put an Airtable module, and we're gonna update a record. Again, we're gonna choose our content machine table. We're gonna choose our approved post table. Well, that was the base, and now the table. We're gonna identify again by the ID. We're gonna take the ID from the search records folder. That is the right ID that we need here. We're just gonna put that in here. And then the only thing what we wanna do is put in the error log. We're gonna hard code it to no media file was found. And that's it. So if for some reason the search files folder doesn't find a file, then it will just send it down here and says no file found, and we have an error log. And of course, the post wasn't scheduled. Let's just quickly try it out. We go back to our content table. We have here a Instagram post reel with, again, the same title. We're going to click on approved. We're going to go check quickly in our content folder, the Instagram post folder. Yeah, we actually have a video file here. Very nice. Let's try this out with a video. We're going to execute workflow. It searches the file. It sends it down here. We're downloading the video. Very good. And then it will push it all through and post it straight on Metricool. Updated the table. Amazing. It did everything. Let's check if it worked. But amazingly smooth. By just building out the first branch, we basically have it ready for all the other branches as well. All right, let's go to our calendar. On Friday the 26th, we have an Instagram post that we need to change here to reel. And we have the text here is just also one of my earlier shorts that I posted, or we can also have it as a post. Then it would look also with the high video, and we have the text here. Then this would be a post. You can see, again, we can just drag it and publish that whenever we want. And you see how efficient this whole process is getting. Now, the last route to build out is the Instagram carousel. And let's do that. We copied the Instagram workflow that now needs to work for Instagram carousel as well. There are only two minor things that we need to upgrade. Number 1, we change again here the folder, and we're gonna type Instagram. And now we choose the Instagram carousel Google Drive folder. There you go. That's it. The next node that we need to update is the code node that is just before the HTTP request. And what we need to do here is we copy that and we paste in the new code. The only thing that is different here is that we are now collecting multiple public URLs because we have multiple pictures in a carousel, not just one. So I think only the top section really changed. The rest stays pretty much the same. Again, if you need the exact code, I'm happy to share it with you guys. Just let me know in the comments. I just quickly wanted to show you that here on the Instagram carousel folder that we just connected, we have 3 images. They're all the same, but just to prove a point. Again, they have the title and then underscore 1, 2, 3, 4. However many slides in the carousel you want or images, that's going to be the naming system. Keep the title, whatever you want to choose, of your post that needs to match in your table here, and then put that title with the numbers, as many as you need, and it will work in our workflow. We can quickly gonna try it out. So here we have a carousel. We're gonna click on approved. Before we execute, there's actually one more additional change that we need to make. We need to here in the search and files folders, we had limited to 1. In the carousel, let's limit it to 10. I think more than 10 images we won't have. Also now, because we download multiple files, we need to adjust that code node here. With the new code that I got from Cloud Code, it is important because we're getting 3 files that we need to pull now, 3 public URLs. We need to update slightly all of our code nodes. We have already updated this one and this one. Now let's update this one as well, just so it is configured for multiple files. So now we should be all set up. We essentially changed this code node just before, this code node, just to prep it all for multiple files. We then also here upgraded the limit, and that's it. You just feed the code from those code nodes into Cloud Code or ChatGPT and say they need to adjust it for multiple URLs, and that's about it. All right, let's try that. We're gonna execute the workflow. We see here 3 items get passed everywhere. They get passed along the road, and then only the last code node packages it in a way that we have 3 URLs. Let's have a quick look. It adds here, look in the media side of things, it adds all 3 URLs of all 3 videos. So that's important that we get passed along 3 different public URLs to the HTTP post request. There you go. Let's quickly check if that worked. We're gonna refresh the calendar and look at that. We have a draft with the same image. I already said it that we uploaded the same image. Also, the copy is not optimized. It's basically giving us ideas. However, the most important thing is that we got multiple images up here. Look at that. We have a carousel post. All right. That brings us to the end of this episode. We have created this automation that gets triggered automatically every 5 minutes, searching our table for approved content, and then searches our Google Drive folders for the respective media, the images or the videos, and then pushes it up to Metricool to be scheduled automatically as a draft. Lastly, updating our record that the content has been scheduled. Absolutely amazing. Thank you for making it to the end of the video. This was an absolutely exciting episode. I am in love with this automation. It will help me to grow all my social media channels and really save me so much time. We're going to continue to automate everything and build automations in public. If you want to learn more, please subscribe to my channel and leave a comment.